ways that they use him.
The Swiss Army knife deal. Here's Allen on 2nd and 10. Stepping up into the logo and throwing. He's got Diggs wide open. It's caught. Touchdown. 40.
2nd down and 10. Good protection. End zone pick. Pass is intercepted by Slay. A flag is down at the 25.
He was. This is interesting to see. I am your host, Nick. What's up? Big night of Monday Night Football doubleheader. We shall talk about that mess coming up on the show. It's a daily sports podcast, news, narratives, takes, gambling, and stuff. The internet, essentially. And we're going to follow up the NFL and college football weekend today. We're going to talk about stuff today. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into things, of course, go over Monday Night Football. I should do a better job of fantasy stuff on Wednesdays to tell you stuff. I just copy what I see on the internet. I'll just tell you what the people are thinking. It's not a bad way to go about it, eh? If you like this podcast, please let everybody know on Apple Podcasts by giving it a 5-star rating. That's how people will help me. It takes like no time. Just get your phone out. I know that you're on TikTok and Wordle and blah, blah, blah. Get on there and do a 5-star rating. It helps me. Even if you don't think it's 5 stars, but you think it's okay, just give me a 5-star. That'd be helpful. All right, let's start. Last night, 2 ass whippings. The Eagles' ass whipping was like a real football game. The Bills' ass whipping was like a sad, sad homecoming game. Oh, my God. How sad was it? Josh Allen was pulled before the fourth quarter in a professional football game. He was pulled before the fourth quarter, and he was the second starting quarterback pulled. Ryan Tannehill, 11 for 20, 117 yards, 2 interceptions. Malik Willis, 1 for 4, 6 yards. He is not him, by the way. Maybe one day, but not right now. God. And I know how the kids are talking. Get off my ass. Josh Allen, conversely, 38 attempts, 26 completions, 317 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He is pretty good. James Cook, who fumbled on his first carry of his NFL career against the Rams, was the leading rusher. 11 carries, 53 yards. 0 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, who I was playing against in fantasy football, I had Justin Jefferson, the quote-unquote best wide receiver in the NFL. Get to that in a second. And my opponent had Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs in PPR dropped 50 points. 12 catches, $148, 3 TDs. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, what a game from Stephon Diggs. Bills roll in the South Phillies Metro Complex sports thing. The Philadelphia Eagles roll. Jalen Hurts looked awesome. I watched last night. It was 2 possible MVP candidates. I will say this. Jalen Hurts looks significantly better. He's clearly an elite running back. They're showing him doing the squat thing like they always are. The Vikings have a pretty good team. They embarrassed Aaron Rodgers last week. They have Justin Jefferson, which, again, we'll talk about in a second. But Jalen Hurts looked like a true MVP candidate. His statistical evening was not so bad either. He had that 1 touchdown run, it was like 26 yards. And he just, like, forced his way. He just, like, bulldozed his way. He seems to – Lamar Jackson is kind of like this, but Tebow and Cam Newton were like this. We're like, I'm pretty sure these guys aren't going to get hurt running the ball. Like, I mean, you probably like them to do it less. But they're probably not going to get hurt. Jalen Hurts, 11 carries, 57 yards, 2 touchdowns, 26 for 31. Damn. 26 for 31, 333 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The interception was tipped and probably should have been caught, which shouldn't go against him. 5 catches for Goddard, 82 yards. 7 for Devontae Smith, 80 yards. 5 for A.J. Brown, 69 yards. And Quez Watkins with the deep home run. Eagles win 24-7. The clip we played was Darius Slay making a pick against Kirk Cousins, and we'll dive into some fun stuff. So Darius Slay makes an interception and then brings the ball to James Harden. Here, let's watch it. It's on your screen right there. So here's Slay. Shush. And there's James Harden. You can't see him. He's behind the beer guy. There he is. He's like, what's up? What's up, James Harden? Because Slay gets enough interceptions. He's like, yeah, whatever, you can have it. I don't give a shit. He had another interception in the game, and between those 2 interceptions, he could have had a couple more, and it was like he was mostly guarding Justin Jefferson one-on-one, and Kirk would look for him, and man, Slay embarrassed Jefferson. On the first interception, Jefferson was so well covered, he like improvised the route. Well, Kirk didn't know that he would improvise the route in the middle of the route. And so he threw it to where he thought he was going to go and give him a chance to catch the ball. And Slay was like, yeah, what the fuck? I'll take that. It was embarrassing. Justin Jefferson like essentially didn't play last night. He looked like a guy who has been reading his press clippings as the best wide receiver in the NFL and then just kind of went out there and did whatever he wanted on a couple plays. And then on a couple other plays, he just simply wasn't as good at football as Darius Slay. Not last night. Maybe one day he will be again, but Darius, if you're watching the game, it was like every single time the Vikings had the ball, they were like Slay and Jefferson, and then Kirk Cousins forgot that he had Adam Thielen on his team until the fourth quarter when the game was out of hand. Is unreal. Huge dropped opportunities. One would have been maybe a first down for the Vikings. One was probably a touchdown that the tight end dropped. It would have been like an 80-yard touchdown or something. But sucks to suck. That changes everything. The Eagles play next week. I think the Commanders. Let me see off the top of my head. If I'm starting to memorize other team schedules than the one that I follow, it's going to get sad. Yeah, they play the Commanders. Damn. This is my life. It's that time of year. The Vikings have the Lions. The Lions opened yesterday. Yesterday morning, the Lions opened at 7.5-point underdogs. That line went to 6.5, and now it's not available to bet. So, God damn it, I did not get any money on that. Kirk Cousins in prime time. So when Kirk Cousins has been an underdog in primetime in his career, dating back to 2014, he has never gotten within 7 points. He was a 3-point underdog last night at Philly, lost by 17. He was a 2.5-point underdog against Seattle in 2019, lost by 7. In 2018, he was a 3-point underdog at Seattle, lost by 14. In 2017, he was a 5-point underdog at Philly with the Washington Commanders, now Commanders, lost by 10. 9-point loss in 2017, 22-point loss in 2016, and a 10-point loss in 2014. Primetime Kirk, and they call it, if you don't know, it's called Primetime Kirk. When Kirk Cousins is in his standalone primetime game, he is ass. Like, historic ass. Like, the worst quarterback in the NFL, and it happened. He came out. He was out and about last night, and it is what it is. In the other game, in the Bills game, we had this debacle. Always difficult for me to tell if this has been edited in by internet sleuths, but it kind of sounded like it didn't, and because it has 2.7 million views right now, I think maybe it was real. Let's go ahead and listen to what happened in the Monday Night Football booth with Steve Levy, Dan Orlovsky, and Louis Riddick.
Now, the big...
What? Was that real? And like I wasn't watching because I was cooking dinner or something.
Now, the big...
Pre-game.
The big change is the commitment to running. The big...
I feel like that was edited in. Or it could have been a sneeze. Who knows? Literally, I don't know. But that happens. So if you want to say someone farted in the Monday Night Football booth, all you have to tell your people like, hey, did you hear that guy fart in the Monday Night Football booth? Other things happening last night. MLB scores. The wild card race in the NL is heating up. So right now, the Mets clinched the playoff spot. We'll talk about that in a second. Then we'll get to this week in football and a little bit more deeper stuff. The Phillies, Brewers, and Padres are all going at it for the final wild card spots. There are 2. Can we say San Francisco's in there? No. So Milwaukee's 2.5 game back. Philly is in. They're the dead last wild card spot right now. And San Diego has a half game lead on Philly. They played one more game, and they won that game. So that's what's going on in the NL. In the AL, Baltimore, I guess they could get hot like at the very, 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 very end. 76-146. They got a couple games left, 10 or so. The Mets clinched the playoff spot last night. They went to celebrate, but they did it classily, not like there was anything impressive. They haven't won the division, so they went and they celebrated the fact that they made the playoffs, and I enjoyed that. We will keep you abreast of the fact that baseball is still happening as it becomes increasingly more or less relevant. Justin Fields, the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, 11 passing attempts, 7 completions for 70 yards. Bears are trash. The Packers embarrassed them in a get-right game, remember, on Sunday Night Football. And Justin Fields put his foot in his mouth in a big way, as in, like, I don't give a fuck about the fans, man. You want to hear what he has to say? All right, Justin, so the question is, what do you have to say to the fans? Or it was something like that. I forget. Wait, should I get the actual quote? I will. But here's what he had to say.
I mean, it hurts more in the locker room than the Bears fans. I mean, because at the end of the day, they're not putting in any work.
It hurts more in the locker room than it does for the Bears fans. Like, well, that's probably true. I wouldn't say that, bro.
I mean, it hurts more in the locker room than the Bears fans. I mean, because at the end of the day, they're not putting in any work I see the guys in the locker room every day. I see how much work they.
Yeah, it's not going to go over the way that you think that it is. Justin Fields might not be the guy. Perhaps. It's entirely possible that Justin Fields is not the guy. Prayers up Dane Jackson last night. He's fine, I guess. The Bills tweeted that he has movement in all of his extremities as a cornerback. Ambulance on the field and a abundance of precaution. You didn't see it on the internet because people are like, yeah, it's football, man. Someone's going to die in the field. Just mentally prepare yourself for that. And then, like, I've ran myself through that mental process quite a bit. Thursday Night Football, Amazon is releasing the numbers, and they are suspiciously high for how many people watch Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Amazon told advertisers that the audience for the streaming-only game, this is from Pro Football Talk, will hit 12.5 million. This is as first reported by Sports Business Daily. It should exceed that number, according to Sports Business Daily, which is bananas. That is an enormous amount of football. I did not know that there were many football fans who had Amazon Prime, so it seems like people are like, is it possible that they like did one of those Chinese or Indian click farms? Because you can't, and this isn't like cable. And how is Nielsen tracking it? They're just like, yeah, hey, Amazon, will you let us sign into your dashboard? Like, what the fuck? A little weird that they hit the number that they wanted to hit and should exceed it. Sounds like bullshit to me. Sounds like they're making up their own ratings. It sounds like they're making up their own ratings. Other things from over the weekend, in the Bucs-Saints game, the fight, Mike Evans, the wide receiver, was the only one suspended because he appears to have made it from like a little bit of smack talking and annoyingness to like a real altercation where a bunch of people get kicked out. So the only guy suspended was the wide receiver who escalated the situation. But the Bucs former head coach and now assistant GM, blah, 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 Bruce Arians, who was on the sideline, got a flag, and nobody knows his role, and the NFL is investigating what the hell that was. So Bruce, who Tom Brady was like, I don't want that guy as my head coach. They're like, fine, we'll fire him. And then he's like, and Bruce was like, actually, you owe me like $70 million. Like, oh, shit. So they promoted him to like assistant GM, which means like you have an office, but like you aren't really here. Well, he was on the sideline in New Orleans, not in Tampa, in New Orleans for a game right next to the GM. And then there were chippy things on the field, and Bruce just like stepped right back into coaching. So Bruce is like shadow coaching the team and not letting Todd Bowles coach. And now is what's happened? What is happening with this old coach? Because they didn't give him a job. They basically gave him a golf membership in an office. And now I don't understand what like they think is going to happen here. This is going to be bad for everybody. They're just like, yeah, he's part of the team. Put him on the sideline. No. It's just so weird. Like, why? I don't understand any of this. Other news, Dan Skipper, the left guard, who is from the practice squad, like the 8th or 9th best offensive lineman for the Detroit Lions. He stepped up. The Lions tweeted out a video of him. The NFL put it on Reels. And they social media'd a video of him getting congratulated. I'm just going to say they media'd him. A video of him being congratulated by his teammates, getting the game ball, and he looked emotional. And he was the guy that was cut on Hard Knocks, where he was like, what else could I have done, coach? And looked like he was about to cry. And they were like, nothing, you're just not that good. And he's been on a bunch of practice squads in and out of the NFL for 5 years. Cries and gets the game ball. Arik Armstead, I would say not elite, above replacement, pretty good defensive end, Arik Armstead for the San Francisco 49ers, reposted that and said, so we're cheering for racist now, called multiple players the N-word in games with the hard ER. So then Detroit Lions fans are looking to investigate this, and they found that this is from someone called Devoted to Detroit. So now this person is looking for stats. Dan Skipper has played 0 snaps in games Arik Armstead played in. He hasn't even been on the sideline in any NFL games that Armstead has played in, per Pro Football Reference. And then they looked at college games, and Oregon, which is where Armstead went, and Arkansas, which is where Skipper went, had never played each other. So everyone's like, what an accusation if this is true, and people believe it's true, and then Dan Skipper should be cut or be aggressively reprimanded and rehabbed or whatever. But then Arik Armstead, in the wake of this, Arik Armstead has gone silent. So we will catch back up with this. I'm sure that people are going to be on this. It's an N-word accusation publicly of a man to another man on social media, tagging the NFL. Like, here's Arik Armstead. If you're watching on your screen, this is a tag of the NFL. The NFL saw one of its players, which I'm sure they have on lists, tag them and say, this guy's racist. But he has never, I think 1 or 2 times, Skipper has been on the sideline for a game that Armstead, they've never played against each other, which would make sense. But have they practiced against each other? My only thought is that Armstead could have heard that from his teammates who are not that prominent, and he's super prominent and been successful in the league for a long time, and he thought, I will shit on this guy publicly, and I will have your back, which, again, if this is true, and Arkansas is not known, people, and Arkansans are not known for their inclusivity, it is what it is. If it's true, and Arik Armstead, of course, is, I think he is African-American or partially African-American descent. I'm not sure. He looks like he probably is. Again, I don't know. Didn't investigate that, but this is him making a big accusation. And so, you got to watch this. I've never seen anything like this, ever, with, like, players shitting on each other like this and accusing. So this is a real accusation. If not, and if Dan Skipper loses or gets cut and he can't prove that this happened, this is defamation. This is intense shit, I think. So we'll see what happens. A lot of football going on last night, and no one paid attention to this because he did it at around 5 p.m., right when everyone was getting ready to watch the game. So that happened last night, which is fun. We shall see how that goes. Makes you sick to your stomach to know that kind of thing is happening and has been happening, but every now and then you're reminded of it, and you gotta think about it. In the Broncos game, the Denver Broncos fans were counting down the play clock. Not for their opponent. You see that in basketball where they do a fake shot clock. They were doing it for them because they have their heads up their ass. They can't get the playoff. Also, someone juxtaposed or transposed or whatever posed Tua Tagovailoa and Lamar Jackson to make it look like Lamar was a lefty and Tua was a righty to prove that it's just bias. That lefties can actually have big arm strength and that it looks better when you're a lefty because your back's to the camera. I gotta say, that argument holds water. I remember that. Same thing happened with Tebow. He was just shitty at all the other parts. So that's going to do it. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Back and better than ever tomorrow for Controversial Wednesday. Dan Skipper and Magnus Carlsen. We'll talk about chess, man. Chess world is on fire right now. See you then.